Let's start assembling the leaves. What are we doing? At the beginning, we take a floristic tape, namely a floristic one, because it has a sticky base and is very convenient to attach the leaves to each other. It glues perfectly. For screwing leaves and petals, we fold a large piece of floristic tape. We don't need a wide one, so we cut it. Cut into 2 parts, in half. It can be cut into 3 pieces to make it even thinner. It will be convenient for you. Now we stretch it. When it is stretched, it increases its stickiness. What do we do next? We take the main leaf and small leaves. We will glue it where it should be. We press it a little with a fingernail. A mid like that. We make one turn. Further, in order to hold well, I would advise you to glue with super glue. This joint we glued. We take the second leaf and do the same. We put it next to it opposite a small leaf. We wrap the floristic tape and you can make another round. You don't need to do a lot of turns because it will turn out to be thick, but it should not be thick. We still have to roll it in clay. It must be thin. This is how we fasten the floristic tape. You cannot screw it far. This will be enough. What do we do next? Remove the super glue. Take the latex glue. Next, we need to roll the stem with clay. Not too far, somewhere like this, because the leaves will be close to the stem. Somewhere at this distance. We need to make a short one. We take green clay, we take a small amount of it. It is not necessary much, so as not to interfere. We go through the trunk with latex glue. We start to glue the clay. Press gently with your fingers. Stretch. The main thing is that the wire is not visible. Press down, stretch. We can still do. Since the clay turned out to be more on a thin petiole, then we will do this. We will try to flatten this place a little. We will make such wings on the sides. Why is this done? The leaves have small wings on the sides. not just a straight stem. I call them wings because I don't know how they are called correctly. I press them to become thinner, more natural. You can take scissors and make a small incision at the beginning, and here we cut off the excess. Let's make the antennae. It turns out a sticking mustache. This place can be cut off. What is left? We cut it neatly, not to cut off excess. Press with your fingers. Leave the sticking antennae. We press the stem so that it is smooth. We will still be toning, so all errors that may arise, they will all go away. It can be seen that it will not be tinted. You can also trim a small antennae. The most interesting thing is that the smaller the antennae, the larger quantity of them is. The smaller they are, the more natural the petiole and the rose itself look as a result. Cut and fold like this. Here you can walk along this convex middle with a stack, smoothing, creating a loom. We create such a path. Press gently so as not to overdo it. Press with fingers like this. Of course, you may not do this. Someone wants to achieve realism, naturalness, then you may do. You can make a regular stem, roll it with clay, and that's it. So, ideally, of course, it is more like a natural leaf. Then, of course, we will dye, paint it, so it will be beautiful. How will it look like? It will look like this. Glue. It will be possible to do this even closer to the rose itself. We made it far. It can be. We will have it like this a little further. The leaf will be slightly longer. Now it's the turn of the leaves. We will make leaves. What do we need for this? Clay is naturally needed. We need wire. I took the wire 55 millimeters. You can take no thicker, we will use for buds. We take this one, it is ideal for this thickness. It is neither thick nor thin. We need 2 such segments. We will make 2 such petioles with leaves on which there will be 3 leaves. It will be possible to make 5 leaves. We will do 3. We are cutting shorter. We will have such petioles. This is for small leaves. Now, Here we need a vein for the leaf, latex glue, scissors and stack. We take clay. How are we going to roll out? I am rolling out of shape again. I won't cut it with foam. I will roll out the approximate leaf shape and cut it in the shape of the vein itself. I will do such a natural form. First, I will make a larger leaf and then a couple of small ones. Roll out, making a drop like this. Now I'll try to roll out the desired shape and pancakes. A vein can be attached to view and make the same size. You can do this with your fingers where it is necessary. We need to have a thinner edge along and the middle and base to remain tighter. The drawing itself goes there, the wire will be attached there, and we need the clay to be thicker, the thickness of the clay itself, and the edges should be thin. We take the vein with starch completely from base to edge, and the second part, so that the clay doesn't stick. I will process the leaf because my clay is the same, sticky. Now I take it over and I will also process it with starch on the back side, and then I will print on a vein. We remove and process carefully. The approximate form is ready. What are we doing? We put the leaf on the vein and press it. Then we will cut off the excess. We press harder along the edge so that the drawing is completely printed, and we need to press less so that the leaf doesn't break. Here's what we got, approximate form. Now we cut it to the shape of the vein. Be careful not to cut off anything else. From the second side, wonderful. If you get a thick edge, then we go slightly with a vein, but not too much. Don't overdo it. Now we are going to cut the teeth. One side in the beginning. It's the same here. The teeth should be small. Closer to each other than the topmost leaf that we made. So approximately rounded ones happen. It depends on the type of rose. They are mostly shallow and sharp. Now we will try to repeat the shape of the teeth. Let's work with the stack again. Add waviness. Then, when we will make other leaves, we will glue the wire. A little left at the very edge, at the base. Chop it. One side is ready. Now I will cut out the second side and show what we got. Cut out the second side. Here's what happens. Now we go through with the stack a little, slightly, do not press hard. Better to do it in the opposite direction so our hands don't turn. It begins to turn the other way. It can be stretched a little. Another thing I like is you can bend the edge with your hand. Bend inward. It doesn't always happen that a leaf is always so curved inward with cloves. When we tint them, you will see. Here's what happened. A bit literally. The central vein is designated. Now take the longer wire. This will be the main leaf, the central one. Insert the wire about 1 to 2 centimeters. Not too hard, not too deep. Pinch on the back, press. Glue the wire lengthwise. Remove excess glue with a damp cloth. We remove so that there is no excess. What do we get? I can't see the wire. Even if suddenly there is a wire left, we will still tint with a dark green color. Maybe we will make the central vein red. If someone can see the wire, paint over it and it will not be seen. What are we doing now? Bend the petal here slightly and leave it to dry in this position. We create the correct bend. Now we make a small leaf. What is small? It will not be half, but less than the previous leaf. We take the clay. We will knead it. So, roll it out, make a drop. I just roll with the back and knead with my thumbs. The result is a flat droplet. Roll out a little. I won't roll it too much. I'll do it with my finger. I feel comfortable with my thumb, this side. Pressing can be controlled. pressing itself. In order not to make the edge too thin to roll out our clay, we look at the size. Can be a little less. I'll cut it off now. I will powder the vein again. The clay sticks again. There is nothing to be done. Remove it carefully. Remove from the denser side so as not to tear the thinner side. It turned out to be torn. Nothing, we will still cut it to get the correct shape. Don't worry. We take the vein, we take the desired shape, apply and print. Press on the sides harder so that the texture is clearly drawn. Here's a leaflet turned out. Now we will cut it. Here it is thinner, but here we will make a more pot-bellied petal. We will give it a shape downwards. Such a leaf turned out. Now we will roll it out. On this side we will slightly cut it off, because it turned out too pot-bellied, too round. Rose leaves are more elongated. From the side we'll roll with a step. Our further actions. We cut the teeth again, also small ones. It shouldn't differ from the previous ones. Now we will cut everything out, then we will make a second leaf and glue everything. Such are the teeth on one and the other side. Here's what happened. We take a stack, carefully pass from the other side. As the teeth are located, we will roll in a stack. Do not break direction. Let's try to bend inward so that it is not too visible. In order to make your fingerprint invisible. If the clay is soft, then it lends itself well to formation, deformation. Until it is dry, you can form the desired bend. Pull the tail to bend it a little, make it sharper. Create a more pronounced middle. Now we make the wire. Now we need a shorter wire. These leaves will have short petioles and they will stick to the main leaf. Such a distance probably. slightly. In the opposite direction, if the tubercle turned out, then smooth it with your fingers. The main thing is not to break the clay, so that the wire is not visible, so that it doesn't stick out. From this side, we take the napkin and remove excess glue. Here is such a leaf. You can bend it. You can, on the contrary, give it a flat shape. Here the inner bend goes, and this side will be flatter. And leave it to dry. We make the second of the same leaf, and I will show how we fasten them to each other and roll the leaf spine with clay completely. The leaf is finished. They are not dry yet. We can leave them for 20 minutes. The clay will dry out and it will be easier to work. Here, what are we doing? We take the main leaf and we process the stem with clay. This is about 2 centimeters. We take a small amount of clay, just such a pea. Be sure to take latex glue. If the clay is sticky, then you can do without glue. We'd better be safe so that the clay sticks, so that nothing comes off anywhere. Walking along the wire, so. We start rolling in the wire. We get a leg. It is thin enough not to show the wire. The wire shouldn't be visible. Carefully. Initially, it is better to completely dry all the leaves and then roll in. It is even better. I'll do it carefully. At this distance, it will be enough. Here's what we get. Next, we will glue those leaves here from this side. At this distance. If it didn't work out smoothly, but somewhere it is worried, the joints are visible, then you can wet your fingers and work with wet fingers to smooth everything. The clay will be smoothed by the water. Everything will wash out and everything will be neat and even. I will not do that. Everything worked out for me. If it is necessary somewhere, I will show how to do it. We are waiting for our leaves to dry and then there will be a complete assembly. And then tinting. Before we collect the twig with leaves, we will tint. This will make it more convenient to tint each petal separately. Now we are toning, and then we will collect. We need for tinting. We already have the colors with which we tinted the sepals. Now we will add Veredin paint here because we will need more of it. Veredin green and grass green. It would be enough. And we still need white one. Add zinc white. So, this is what we have. There is paint. There are brushes. There is a solvent. What are we doing? Firstly, here we have the brushes with which we tinted. We will wipe it so that it is clean. We take a thinner and first we will tint with the white paint. Add solvent, we need a little more. It is possible to make it wet with a napkin. Why do we need white paint? We will tint the back of the leaves with it. Roses, they are slightly lighter and with a white bloom. Let's take another napkin. We will wet the excess paint and go through first from small leaves. On the back side, not too much. Light white, just create a white effect. And the main leaf. With a solvent, it will dry much faster. Naturally, the color will not be so saturated. If you take just white paint and carry out with a dry brush, then there will be a more saturated white color. We need a slightly white, not very saturated, so one more leaf. Most importantly, do not overdo it so that there is not a lot of white. The main thing is that the back side is different from the front side. Another leaf. And this is where we end. We will tint the other side with a solid color, the face of the leaves. Here's what we got. What do we do next? It is better to wipe the brush after each paint, so that the color doesn't mix. Now we need to take Veradon and Hebel paint and dilute it with solvent. Why are we going to do this? Not because we need it to become liquid dilute. We do this so that it dries faster later. Lightly, slightly thinned. You can generally first dilute the paint and leave for a while until the solvent dries. Mix Veradon and slightly Hebel. Not much, slightly. Here, let's try now. We take the leaves. Remove excess paint immediately. First, we will try on small leaves. Just apply firstly. I will apply and then I will show my actions. It fixes better. There is no divorce, so that it is more natural. We will also apply on a larger leaf, so you need to take more paint. Do not be afraid if you get a lot of it, if it lies down with strokes. The leaf should have a deep green color, but not light. So, paint it with strokes. What do we do next? You can take a sponge, for example. Sponge, napkin, whatever you want. I do it with my finger. I take the paint on my finger and remove the excess moisture with a napkin gently. We go through like this, only with my fingers, as if I am pushing paint into a leaf. You can do this for one time and do other leaves. We remove the excess so that it doesn't interfere. There was extra paint here. Again. You can take more paint. We apply with these movements. It's okay that our fingers are dirty, we will wash it later. The main thing is that beautiful leaves turn out. If you do this with a brush, then stains will be visible and it will be ugly. Let's walk along the side leaves. All places so that there are no unadorned places. We do not touch the stem itself, only the leaves. We will tint the stem itself later. It should be reddish. Let's see what happens. It turns out here in such a leaf. What can I do? Use your finger, which is already dirty in the paint. Remove all excess paint with a napkin. Turn the leaf over. We walk through the picture. You can take more, otherwise I have already erased everything, so that the paint was here and we go through from the back side like this. We get a beautiful drawing. The whole texture is visible, all the veins. We will do the same thing on small leaves. It turns out a more lively leaf. I took too much. Nothing is wrong. Most importantly, do not overdo it. If you took the extra paint, then it is better to brush it off again, so you can pass with paint from this side once again. It dries up and can be absorbed already during this time while we're painting. It will not be completely absorbed, but still, with each layer the color becomes more saturated, more intense. And let's walk a little bit. Right here. That's all. What do we do next? We'd better wipe our fingers. Remove excess paint. It is better to change napkins so that they do not stain the leaves if the napkins are dirty. Next, we take carmine, red. What are we doing? We will not dilute it. Let's take some paint on a brush. The brush can be taken thinner. And so we remove the excess paint with a napkin and walk along the very edge. So there we have a cloth. See its intensity. In the video they should be reddish. I don't know if it is visible or not. We grab only the cloths because the leaves of the rose are mostly, not always of course, sometimes they are just green. Mostly red teeth. The leaf is not always red, sometimes with a reddish tint. It depends on the type of rose. We'll blot all the excess with our finger. If something got to the wrong place suddenly, we pass along the edge from this side. Carefully so as not to climb onto the leaf itself. Of course, if you want to make it more realistic. Let's do the same with small leaves. Where we capture, where is not painted on one side and on the other. Do not forget. So, we will finish one more. Then we will work with carmine at the base of the leaves, a little so that there are no bright paths. So, we remove the excess. No matter how we paint, the green color is affected and it turns out brownish. Some paint and a thin brush. In this case, I use this brush. It also works fine. We need to make the central vein reddish. Don't overdo it to make it look natural. The same thing we do here. and another leaf. Such toning turns out. Generally, this petiole is reddish. We will paint it a little. It will look more natural. Right here at the beginning, on this back side, on the sides, on the edges, on the back side. You can go to the base of leaves. You can shade somewhere with your finger so that there are no abrupt transitions. Done. Now you can immediately go through antennae with a brush. The very edges. We will not do it completely. The branch should be practically dry so that we do not repaint it. Now, what do we get? Eventually, you can add more red paint to the fold on the back side. It turns out so pretty. Here's a leaf. This is the one that will be at the top of the rose. We processed it, painted it. The same is done with other leaves. Let me show you in one large leaf. Now we need to apply white color. We wipe the brush well so that there is no green color and you will have to add thinner again.